Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we are going to present the topic of cardiovascular system. Before we start, let me introduce our group member first. Our group consists of 5 members: Siti Arifah, Shaina Balkis, Siti Zara Maisara, Shakifa Akilah, and lastly Wanur Liana.
We are looking at the key functions of the heart and its surrounding system. The heart itself is the primary muscular organ that furnishes the essential power to maintain blood flow throughout our body. This is part of the larger cardiovascular system, which consists of the heart, the blood vessels, and the blood working together dynamically. Within this system, blood serves as a vital liquid tissue that transport oxygen and nutrient directly to our tissues. At the same time, it handles waste and carbon dioxide removal by returning metabolic waste products and carrying carbon dioxide away from the cells. Finally, it serves an important role in the immune and endocrine system by acting as a crucial transport highway. Moving on to the anatomy, let's look at the actual walls and layers that build the heart. First, we have the pericardium, which is the outermost membranous sac that encloses and protects the entire heart structure. Moving into the actual walls, the epicardium is the external, protective outer layer of the heart wall. Beneath that is the myocardium. The combining from my and o means muscle, making this the thick, muscular middle layer that provides the actual contracting power to drive blood circulations. Deepest of all is the endocardium. The prefix endo means within, making this the smooth inner lining of the heart chambers. Understanding these distinct functions and anatomical layers give us a clear picture of how our cardiovascular system operates. Thank you.
Good day everyone. I will be presenting about blood supply, chambers and valve of heart. The heart muscle, known as myocardium, require its own constant blood supply. The coronary arteries supply the oxygen-rich blood direct to the myocardium, while the coronary veins remove the waste product like the carbon dioxide away from the heart muscle, which are the myocardium. So we moving on the chambers of the heart. The heart is divided into the 4 chambers. First, we have the atria, which are the 2 upper chambers where all the blood enters the heart. Below the chambers, there are ventricles, the 2 lower chambers that actively pump blood through the entire body. So, to keep this blood flow in the correct direction, the heart relies on the brilliant system of 4 valves. So, let's look at the right side of the heart first. We have the triscopic valve, which controls the opening between the right atrium and right ventricle and features 3 cups or points. Next is pulmonary semilunar valve that located between the right ventricle and pulmonary artery. Now, let we looking at the left side of the heart. We find the mitral valve that's situated between the left atrium and left ventricle, which has 2 cups. Finally, the aortic semilunar valve is positioned between the left ventricle and the aorta that control the blood leaving the heart to satisfy the body's systemic needs. So, in conclusion, the seamless harmony between myocardial blood supply, distinct chambers and strict one-way valve ensure our cardiovascular health remains perfectly efficient. That's all from my part. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
To keep us alive, our cardiovascular system relies on a continuous double loop network. As you can see on the slide, this network is split into 2 primary pathways, pulmonary and systemic circulation. Let's start with pulmonary circulation. The flow route travels directly from the heart to the lungs and back to the heart. Its core purpose is gas exchange. It unloads carbon dioxide waste into the lungs and saturates our blood cells with a fresh supply of oxygen. Once the blood is fully oxygenated, systemic circulation takes over. This loop pumps blood from the heart, delivers it throughout the body's tissues, and routes it back to the heart. This loop is vital because it supplies oxygen to every cell while carrying away cellular waste. Together, these 2 loops form a flawless, synchronized cycle that keeps our tissues nourished and our bodies functioning. Now, let's explore how the human heart coordinates every single beat using its built-in electrical system. The process begins at the sinoatrial or SA node located in the posterior wall of the right atrium. This node acts as the master spark plug, initiating each electrical heartbeat impulse. The signal then moves to the atrioventricular or AV node situated on the floor of the right atrium. Crucially, it delays the impulse for a brief moment to allow the upper atria to empty their blood completely into the ventricles. Next, the electrical pathway hits the bundle of His. Running directly down the interventricular septum, it acts as a highway that directs the impulse downwards into the left and right branches. Finally, the Purkinje fibers spread the signal throughout the ventricle muscular walls. This triggers a perfectly synchronized, powerful contraction to pump blood out to the body. This entire sequence happens in less than a single second, keeping us alive with every beat.
So next I'm going to present about the blood vessels. So think of our blood vessel as a fast, highly efficient highway, the system that stretches out through our entire body. So together with heart and blood, they form a cardiovascular system. In medical terminology, combining form is like an angio or vaso simply refers to these blood vessels. So our highway has a strict traffic pattern. First we have arteries, which is the combining form of arteriole, which carries out the oxygen-rich blood away from the heart. The absolute biggest highway exit is the aorta, which is the largest artery in our body. As arteries push further into our body tissue, they taper down into smaller streets called arterioles. So these arterioles lead straight away into the capillaries or capillo, and these microvessels are where the magic happens. They deliver the oxygen and vital nutrients directly into our body cells. So once the cells takes what they need, the oxygenated blood has to head back home, which is our heart. It enters the venules, which is the smallest vein, which merge into larger veins, or also known as phlebo or veno. These veins will then carry blood back to our heart, relying on the built-in valves to prevent the blood from flowing backward. So next I'm going to talk about the pulse. Now that we know how the highway is built, let's take a look at how the traffic flow. So every time our heart muscles beats, it pumps the blood out forcefully into our arteries. This creates a rhythmic expanding pressure wave against the arterial walls, which we can actually feel, which we call as a slow pulse. So this continuous force is what we call as blood pressure. When we get a reading, it is divided into two crucial phases based on what our heart lower chambers, the ventricles, are doing. So the first number at the top is the systolic pressure, which measures when the maximum force exerted when our ventricles actively contract and push the blood away. So, and the next is the bottom number, which is the diastolic pressure, which measures the pressures when our ventricles relaxes between the beats to refill the heart with blood. So when the pressure is chronically too high, the physician may diagnose the patient with hypertension. Meanwhile, when it drops too low, the physician will diagnose the patient with hypotension.
Hi everyone, I'm going to present the composition of our blood. As you can see on the slide, our blood is divided into two main parts, plasma and blood cell. First, let's look at plasma, which make up 55% of our blood. It is a liquid that carries nutrient, hormone and waste product. Within plasma, we have fibrinogen, a protein for clotting. If we remove the clotting factor from plasma, we are left with a substance called serums. The other 45% consists of blood cells. First, we have red blood cell or erythrocyte. They are made in our bone marrow and contain hemoglobin to transport oxygen. Next are platelet or thrombocyte. These are the smallest cells in our blood and are essential for clotting to stop bleeding when we have a wound. Lastly, we have white blood cells, known as leukocytes. Their main job is to defend our body against infection. There are 5 specific types: neutrophil, basophil, eosinophil, lymphocyte, and monocyte, each playing a unique role in our immune system. Next, I will be presenting on blood gas and blood types. First, let's look at blood gas. These gases are normally dissolved in our plasma. There are 3 major blood gases: oxygen or O2, which is essential for cellular respiration and energy production; carbon dioxide or CO2. This is produced by cells, transferred to the lung and then exhaled. Lastly, nitrogen or N2, which is an inert gas present in small amount and not involved in metabolism. Moving on to blood types. Blood is classified according to the presence or absence of certain antigen. It includes group A, B, AB, and O, followed by the Rh factor. The Rh factor defines the presence or absence of the Rh antigen on our red blood cell. If the Rh antigen is present, it is Rh positive. If the Rh antigen is absent, it is Rh negative. That's all from us. Thank you for listening and watching until the end.